Between cartoons and commercials, an image kept returning, a small portrait on a white field, announced in a voice that offered dates and places but never comfort. It arrived without explanation, lodged itself in living rooms, and left children staring at the quiet that followed. Years passed, the broadcast fragment drifted online and shed its context, turning from public service into urban legend. Threads multiplied, re-uploads blurred, and a single face, unchanged, endlessly repeated, began to feel less like a person and more like a pattern. This is the breadcrumb trail that runs from daytime television to midnight message boards, from a community announcement to a mystery that refuses to settle. Follow the loop back to where it started, and watch how a picture became a story, and how that story learned to haunt. This is a rabbit hole that asks a blunt question: was there ever a Selene Delgado to lose? Open a modest YouTube channel, Florescita Dreams. Thumbnails tilt toward the unreal, dark shapes, off-center faces, scenes cut loose from any familiar context. The videos are in Spanish, but you don't need subtitles to feel the mood. There's shock montage editing, uncanny sound design, a deliberate addiction to the unsettling. Buried among them sits the dynamo, Kinetica del Patron, Selene Delgado. A warning before you go hunting: some of the images are not kind. You won't see them here, you shouldn't need to. What matters is the hypothesis beating underneath the horror dressing. Florescita Dreams suggests something extraordinary: Selene Delgado might never have existed. Not as a daughter, not as a missing person, only as a composite, a manufactured face designed for television, designed to haunt. And to understand why anyone would believe that, we have to step back into a specific moment in Mexican TV. There was a company, monolithic in reach, that dominated Mexican television for decades. In the 1990s and 2000s, on Channel 5, they aired a public service segment known, in English spirit, as community service. It spliced itself into the day between cartoons and family shows, bright colors, commercials, silence. The screen shifted to still photographs of missing people. A voice read names, dates, last known locations. The camera made no promises and offered no comfort. For countless children, that silence was scarier than any monster on TV. You heard chocolate milk pulled through a straw, toys clacking on a coffee table, and then, stillness. In that stillness, a voice catalogued disappearances. Viewers grew up remembering this rupture more sharply than any Saturday morning episode. The segment was meant to help families, it also imprinted fear deeply onto those who watched. And over many years, one face returned so often it felt fixed to the broadcast itself: Selene Delgado Lopez. You can likely picture it even if you've never seen it: a low-resolution portrait against a white field, 18 years old, missing from Mexico City. The record never evolved. Only one photograph repeated, same angle, same expression, same grain. No new details, no update cheer-ins, no second image from a birthday or a school ceremony. The effect was subtle but powerful. The more it recurred, the less certain people felt that a person stood behind it. To many, Selene's face felt generic, not wrong, but almost archetypal, like a midline sketch of human features. The background read like a studio wall. The fidelity belonged to an era of cheap family cameras and households that hadn't upgraded yet. Everything about the picture could be explained by time, technology, and poverty. And yet, something in the image didn't settle. That's how legends start, not with proof, but with a feeling strong enough to attract company. Florescita Dreams pushes that feeling into a claim: Selene's photograph was built, not captured. They propose a digital composite, pieces of unrelated faces stitched through early image tools, perhaps even seeded by a well-known police composite from the United States. One such composite, made around the same era for Derek Todd Lee, the Baton Rouge serial killer, shares facial proportions suspiciously close to Selene's. If you overlay guides, the eyes, nose bridge, and mouth line seem to align. The channel demonstrates, via 3D modeling, how Selene's features could be averages of multiple sources, real people and composites, yielding a face too central to belong to any single person. If that's true, someone chose to broadcast a fabricated missing person over and over on a national channel. The motive? Perhaps to make a point to children, keep your guard up, or simply to ride the morbid attention these breaks reliably commanded. It is a provocative thesis. But provocation is not proof. Skepticism matters here. The photograph is grainy, yes, but many 1990s family pictures are. The features are generic, yes, most human faces are. And the lack of records? Mexico's crisis of disappearances is overwhelming. Since 1964, the official count has passed 214,000 missing people. In such a sea, paperwork fails. Forms vanish. Names misfile. Families don't always know which office to ask, or which slate of questions to answer. With that many disappearances, Channel 5 didn't need to invent a case to fill 2 minutes of airtime. The thesis could be right, the statistics don't demand it. Years later, the channel would prove that it understood internet spectacle all too well. Around 3 a.m., on repeat nights, its official Twitter account posted distorted, eerie clips and then deleted them after sunrise. The campaign skewed unprofessional, even predatory, for a corporate account. And among those strange posts came a single word: Selene. The reference landed like a thrown stone. The message was unmistakable, they knew the rumor, and they used it. Whether as commentary, mischief, or marketing didn't matter, it reopened the wound. If a brand is willing to trade on that unease at 3 a.m., could the 1990s team have traded on it, too? The door to Florescita Dreams theory creaked a little wider. Meanwhile, the legend spilled into the largest address book on Earth. Search for Selene Delgado Lopez on Facebook and you might land on the profile of a living woman, older now, but faintly echoing that broadcast image. Curious users clicked through. They discovered they were already friends with her. There was no option to unfriend. Screenshots multiplied, captions screamed, "She is everyone's friend, the profile is cursed, she's back." The truth was far duller and far kinder. The woman was ordinary, alive, not missing. She'd adjusted privacy settings that removed that "Add Friend" button. And Facebook caps friends at 5,000, mathematically, she could not be bonded to everyone. Under assault, she finally had to speak. "I am not missing. I have never been missing. I am at home with my family and fine." The internet's capacity to hurt the living while chasing the dead is one of its quietest horrors. Where does that leave the central question? Was Selene Delgado a real young woman who vanished without a trace, her file lost in a catastrophe of bureaucracy, her memory reduced to a single low-res photograph and a set of rumors? Or was she a construction, a face made from faces, a spectral lesson aimed at children, or worse, a ratings device disguised as community care? There is no definitive document to close the lid. No public database entry ties the television image to a birth certificate, a police report, a school record, a family statement. But absence of public proof is not proof of absence. In a country with hundreds of thousands of open disappearances, vanishing on paper is terrifyingly easy. The Selene image grips because it sits exactly between plausible and impossible. Every pixel can be explained by poverty-era photography, and yet the whole feels arranged. The face is not dramatic, no tear, no distress, no theatricality. It's almost too calm, the neutrality of a passport booth. That neutrality helps it stick. It lets each viewer project what they need: a victim, a warning, a hoax, an unsolved file. Fluorescida Dreams, with their modeling overlays and composite comparisons, lends visible scaffolding to one side of the projection. The statistics of Mexico's missing, and the broken logic of record-keeping under stress, anchor the other. Between them, a myth can live for decades. It matters that the Channel 5 account knowingly used her name in a 3 a.m. stunt. The gesture functions like a shrug, the legend is free advertising. That willingness to toy with fear, to blur a public service broadcast into brand theater, isn't proof of anything that happened in the 1990s. But it is proof of institutional comfort with dread as a tool. The same comfort could have lived in a producer's office, choosing which photo to run during a children's cartoon break, weighing shock against service. If Selene was real, that choice exploited grief. If Selene was fabricated, that choice invented grief. The calculus is bleak in either case. There's a sentence, attributed to a Japanese commenter, that claws at the heart of this: it's like digging up graves and playing with corpses. Online, we do that without shovels. We clip, color grade, loop, and score pieces of other people's lives. We do it for fascination, for education, for fun, sometimes for kindness, sometimes just for reach. With Selene, the grave is metaphoric, but the harm is not. If she existed, her memory has been repackaged. If she didn't, then somebody else's features, from composites, from real faces, have been stitched into a mannequin we point at for thrills. Either way, someone is used. We can't know their permission, and we almost never ask. People who argue Selene was real believe in the overwhelm, the sheer number of disappearances, the bureaucracy's limits, the state's history with crisis. They know you can truly go missing, not only in body but in paperwork. People who argue Selene was fabricated believe in the pattern, the one photo, the generic proportions, the corporate cynicism of the 3 a.m. stunt. They trust their eyes when the math of features seems too neat. Both stances carry a kind of respect, the first for loss, the second for truth in media. Both stances carry a fear, the first that no one will look for the forgotten, the second that no one will check what they're shown. It says something about us that a single, small image can hold all that weight. Return to the living woman whose profile went viral. She had nothing to do with the broadcast, nothing to do with the rumor. Yet a quirk of privacy settings wrapped her into a legend she did not invite. People filled her inbox. Some begged for answers. Some accused. Most simply projected, because the story in their heads was louder than the setting in her account. Her reply was the only sentence that matters: I am not missing. I am with my family. I am fine. In the ordinary light of that message, the ghost dissolves. But only for those who read it. If proof ever comes, it will look boring. It will be a registry entry that survived, a school photograph, an old address matched to a police report, or an internal memo about composite training used to generate sample faces for a broadcast slate. The first set of documents would resolve a person, the second would confess a fabrication. Neither will arrive with cinematic music. Neither will trend for long. The internet feasts on spectacle, closure is quiet. Until then, we live with not knowing, and must decide how to behave while not knowing. There's a paradox in stories like this: to warn against exploitation, we must speak of the exploited. So here are the rules I try to keep. Show no disturbing images that strip dignity to win attention. Cite the exact claims: a YouTube hypothesis, a television segment, a corporate stunt, a Facebook misunderstanding, the statistics of national loss. Admit uncertainty where uncertainty reigns. Keep the human cost louder than the myth's thrill. If Selene was a person, respect is owed. If Selene was assembled, respect is owed to whoever lent their fragments without consent, and to every viewer taught to fear the world by a face that never lived in it. A broadcast break meant to serve a community can become culture's undercurrent. 25 years later, we are still talking about one placeholder of a face because it intersected with childhood, silence, and the weight of adult words. The internet doesn't forget what childhood remembers. It keeps replaying until someone gives the loop a name and a frame. Sometimes that frame is the truth. Sometimes it's a mirror that shows us, and we learn what we're willing to assume about strangers. There is no solution here dressed as a twist. I suspect one version of the world, and I hope for another. I suspect Selene was real, vanished into the fog of a country drowning in disappearances, and I hope she was not, because hoping no one was hurt is a mercy we can still choose. What remains is a photograph, a rumor, and all the meaning we drape over them. And one more thing remains, because it should, a promise to be careful with the dead and the living when we tell stories about both. If you've watched this far, you've stepped where rumor and record blur. Carry that caution forward. Be kinder than the timeline asks you to be. The best things do not always happen in the dark, but the best decisions often do, quietly, when no one is watching. Stay safe. Stay human. This is Netherlum. If you enjoyed watching this video, don't forget to hit like and subscribe to support the channel. See you in the next video.